My name is Leo Kerner. I'm a senior at Harvard, and
I'm Elsa Johnson. I'm a junior at Stanford.
we are here at the ISI headquarters in Delaware at the Collegiate Network Editors Conference, and we're joined by Coulter, author of 13 New York Times bestsellers, and conservative media legend. I thought we'd get right into it.
I do think, in a lot of ways, we have seen sort of a rift between, the different types of conservatives. There's sort of this new woke right that is emerging among, younger conservatives. We have the tech right, we have MAGA. And I think, one thing that I've really sensed is that this division is not helping us in any way. And I'm sort of curious, how can conservatives win when we have all of these different ideologies that have been emerging, especially recently?
That's a good question. I think Trump sets the standard for how we win. Not the stupid juvenile stuff, but that was a big change in our party. And it drives me crazy that people say, oh, he's not like Reagan. He's not like Reagan. Reagan was president 40 years ago. It was a different world. We had to defeat the Soviet Union. That was the number one issue. Taxes, the highest tax rate was close to 80%. Since then, it's been, even when a Democrat's in, it's between, like 33%, 39%. They're different issues now. It would be as if when Reagan was running, we're going back to, what did Taft do? we must govern like Taft. No, they're different issues. I do think Reagan was great for his time, but oh my gosh, Trump is what we needed. And I never realized how much I hated the Republican Party until Trump ran. And actually, I'm starting to hate them again, kind of with Trump being president now, unless that's our new Republican Party. The stuff he is doing this term, as you may know, I was a little testy with him term one. But this term, every day he does something so magnificent. And I think, why is he the first Republican to do this? Just a few examples. Why is he the first one to say no more discrimination against whites? It's in our Constitution. There has been open, egregious racial discrimination against whites. Well, definitely your whole life, pretty much my whole life. Yeah, my whole life too. It started a few years before Bakke. Just openly admitting we're discriminating against whites. Colleges, medical schools, law schools, in acting, obviously in commercial still, in law firms, in corporations. And in the government contracting, I worked for a public interest law firm, and we brought lawsuits against the government for some of these, and we won some of them. For Trump to be the first Republican president to say at least the government will no longer be discriminating on the basis of race, that's it, no more. And forcing the universities to live up to the Supreme Court decision. Why is he the first one to do that? Why is he the first one? One of my friends makes fun of me for thinking this is such a big deal, but it's huge in my world. Why is he the first one to say, we're going to drop, you're going to have showers that work now? We're going to have toilets that actually flush. This low flow green nonsense. It doesn't save water. I just have to spend an extra 2 hours in the shower to get the conditioner out of my hair. Why is he the first Republican to do that? There was something, obviously deportations and building the wall. But when he came along, I love the stuff he's doing on tariffs. I love it. And I realized that my entire life when I was your age, National Review, the conservative position, I don't really know or care about tariffs, but they treated Smoot-Hawley as if it was, the introduction of Nazism in America. And, then Pat Buchanan comes along and, I see, I have a different view on this. They treated immigration like it was, so great. Immigrants are better than we are. We love immigrants. And then Peter Brimelow came along and wrote Alien Nation, and I realized, wait, I've been lied to all this time. So anyway, I'm sorry, that's a long answer, but I think Trump is the way we win. The three-legged stool is protect American jobs, build a wall, protect American culture, and no more stupid foreign wars.
On the Pat Buchanan point, it seems like our generation is having a sort of re-examining of figures who were kind of forgotten for a while, and our parents thought of them as sort of ancillary figures, but they seem to really be the basis of this new sort of movement in the right. Would you say there's other figures that will be re-examined, figures will be brought back up and looked at, particularly ones that were talking about immigration for a while?
I so hope you're telling me that young people are embracing Pat Buchanan. Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy.
Trump gives a speech and mentions his name, and the young people in the room cheer, and it's quite remarkable.
Okay, that's Christmas Day for Anne. That's fantastic news. Let's see, who else might be? I mean, those were sort of the two big ones. I mean, all of the American conservative, the American Mind, there are so many publications that are what used to be called, the paleo right wing. And no, they were obviously right all along. We were scammed. And it just wasn't that important to Reagan. I mean, I'm not going to run down Reagan. Like I say, he dealt with the two biggest issues of the time.
I am very curious about your time in college. I'm curious what it was like for you as a founding member of the Cornell Review. And I also am sort of wondering what your general take is on college now. How is college different from when you were a student? And what do you think the future of the university is?
I hope it's over for the universities, though I'm very impressed. Harvard and Stanford.
And Cornell.
That's kind of lesser compared to you guys. It's changed a lot. I think in many ways it's gotten a lot worse. The violence, the refusal to listen to other sides. I was a right-winger at Cornell. They'd take Cornell Review, they'd sweep them up and throw them all in the garbage. Mm-hmm. They'd oppose our college speakers, but there was no risk to the college speakers. They weren't going to be physically attacked.
Yeah.
And up until Trump was elected, I gave a lot of college speeches. I wasn't really worried about physical attacks. I did travel with a bodyguard, but it was more, snippy questions during question and answer. Cornell obviously was very left wing. I think I became more of a right winger at college because it's fun arguing, even if you haven't really especially you're a young kid, you haven't really formed your position yet. And I just enjoyed taking the other side and arguing with liberals, and I'd end up convincing myself. Mm-hmm. So that was a blast. I hope you're studying more than I did. It's a cliche, but youth is wasted on the young. If I could go back, those, world-class libraries, world-class professors. My impression, and you guys know more about it than I do, but my impression is it's gotten worse in the sense of a lot more of this DEI stuff. All the administrators, they're not actually teaching anything. They're turning all of the kids into babies and, looking for oppression and please listen to my victimhood. That has gotten so much worse. And I attribute it to a lot more women going into top positions at the universities.
Yeah, interesting. Can you expand on that?
I've just noticed so many of these college professors, so many of the deans, there are just so many women, and women were not fair. Really not. Whereas my friend Mickey Cow says, I don't even remember what they are now. I think in a moment of anger, I blurted them out that I had three things that I wouldn't say out loud or publicly, showing that I have amazing restraint. And the only one I remember now, which I probably did blurt out, I'll blurt it out now, is that whether I was guilty or innocent of a crime, I would want to be tried by an all-white male jury. They're just very fair. I think they'd acquit me if I was innocent. I think they'd convict me if I were guilty. Boy, I don't trust women.
We're at these institutions, fallen institutions as they are, but is there something Bannon, says, the time for debating is over. It's action, action, action. But we still have these 4 years of sort of formational time. Is there anything students should be doing at these schools while they're there, if they are there? And what would you say that be now?
I don't know what Bannon means like that. Yeah, of course, debate. Yeah, it's fun. A lot of the debates, as your question indicated, or maybe your question, there are a lot of debates within the right. Yeah. And okay, if liberals just want to sit around saying they're victims, Okay, or accusing you of hate for stating an opinion. Okay, kind of hard to debate if we're going to shut down the conversation there, but on the right wing you can debate. That's what I miss about college speeches that I think changed. Liberals just went nuts when Trump got elected, which was kind of fun to watch. But I really liked the college speeches because liberals would come, and I particularly remember Harvard, by the way. I don't think I've spoken at Stanford.
You should.
I'm a little miffed about that now that you mention it. But Harvard I've spoken at a few times, and what I loved about Harvard is I assume this is still true. Even the liberals are smart, and they'd come to the speeches because they wanted to beat me. Sometimes I'd get there and see the audience, and you can totally see which side there, and I just want to throw the speech over my shoulder and say, okay, let's just start with question and answer. You're not going to be listening anyway. They'd make me think. They were smart kids. They'd have good questions. It was loads of fun, and probably you can still do that. I think they're not all nuts.
There's a new publication at Harvard that takes sort of Drudge Report format and puts it for campus issues. Drudge Report was obviously one of the most important websites for news. Like 70% of something traffic in England went through Drudge Report. What happened there? And then is X sort of a new link aggregator in that way? Has media changed so much that format is sort of in the past?
It's so sad what happened to the Drudge Report. I assume we used to be very, very good friends. Haven't spoken to him for a while. He's just disappeared off the face of the earth. I assume, and I assumed as it first started to turn, that he sold it for a lot of money, and part of selling it for a lot of money is not letting people know, oh, I'm not running this anymore. This is George Soros running. It's like having a ghostwritten book. The ghostwriter can't go around saying, yes, that's my book. Because they don't want to buy, people don't want to buy a book from Joe Schmo. They want to buy a book from, Sean Hannity. So ghostwriters can't reveal themselves. Drudge couldn't reveal that. So I used to say, oh, no, I think it's still Drudge. But it is so obviously not Drudge. And it really is so far left. But the design of it's very good. So good for the Harvard students. If we could have a real Drudge Report again, it used to be a blast. And yes, Twitter kind of is the new Drudge. That's where most people go to get news.
You're very outspoken in your criticism of mass immigration. And I think as college students, we experience firsthand the effects of college admitting a lot of international students, where a lot of our student bodies are maybe 30% international. And, at Stanford, for example, there's an issue with, we have a lot of Chinese nationals, and obviously we're very close. We have, frontier AI labs, and that's concerning. So I'm wondering how you think maybe the conversation around mass immigration or just immigration in general is different from the conversation around international students, and sort of what your opinion is on the whole
That's
thing.
a great question. And again, I am totally with Trump. I love him going after these universities, saying they have to reduce the number of international students. These colleges get an enormous amount of money from the taxpayers, as we're finding out as Trump starts to cut it off. Ooh, are they squealing about that? They're tax deductible institutions. This is to educate Americans. And the line about how, but we want to educate people in American values. Okay, the last place you want to send them is an American college. Great, they'll learn to hate America. Fantastic. And I'm totally with, what you suggest there. Chinese nationals, they're stealing from us without being on our campuses. Why you want to put them on the campuses? No, I'm totally America first on all of this.
I read one of your Substack pieces about sort of political extremism / violence and social media. And, you were sort of refuting the claim that it's the phones, it's social media. And you kind of mentioned this in your previous response, but I'm curious what factors besides the internet may be contributing to the younger generation being more right-wing.
Trump. He's funny. And also, I mean, in his own bungling, often inarticulate way, I think he is saying things that are inherently appealing. I mean, just the idea that make America great again, that's controversial, that America first is controversial. And that's what he's doing in every policy down the line. And he's, an amusing and entertaining enough character. Those rallies, back when you were in kindergarten, but in 2015, his rallies, people would drive from thousands of miles. The rallies were gigantic. And a lot of them were they didn't really know what they thought of him, but they knew he was going to be funny. They knew it was going to be entertaining. It was going to be a whole event. And then they're there and listening to him and thinking, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, he was the only Republican candidate in 2016. I mean, okay, Santorum was, but he dropped out. He got like 2% in Iowa, so I'm not counting him. Trump was the only Republican who was not in favor of amnesty. Think of that. This is the Republican Party. I mean, it was such an obvious issue. I begged. Romney was actually pretty good. He was the best until Trump came along.
Was that because of self-deportations as well? Yeah.
Yeah, he was the strongest. And he was attacked for it. Rupert Murdoch told him he had to change his position. And he didn't. He was, without question, the best candidate we had in 2012. The rest of them were all ridiculously for amnesty, speaking in Spanish, talking about their immigrant relatives. Oh, come on, can you please put America first? So, and I begged Romney to hit it really harder. I privately met with Chris Christie because I had been a fan of his for the way he went after the teachers' unions. And I met with him with a powerful and rich friend of mine. I knew he wouldn't say no to that. But he had called me up and said, let's meet, because I attacked him after his convention speech in 2012. Oh my gosh, it was the worst speech ever. It was so awful. And I'd flown in just to see that. I thought it was going to be good. And so we met with him, and I tell him, my friend, who's totally with me on immigration, no matter what he talks about, we're bringing it back to immigration. And by the way, I was great at it. My friend, he keeps wandering off the reservation, talking about other things. But we did go to a lot of trouble to harangue Chris Christie to take, we didn't know it was Trump's position yet, but Trump's position on immigration. I dropped off about 20 copies of my book, Adios America, at the Koch brothers. Their doormen have it in a closet someplace at his building in New York. I kept threatening to fly to Wichita and tie up Charles Koch, and just read to him from Adios America. So it's not, I was trying to get this to everyone, and Trump doesn't need any pushing. He sees me on that, whatever his name was, that Hispanic station with that, what's his name? Anyway, George. And that was the first interview I did for Adios America. And immediately I'm going to the airport. My book hasn't even come out yet. And Trump was asking for a copy of it. He didn't need any prodding. His instincts, although he kind of dropped them first term, but his instincts are very strongly America first. And I think that's impressive to people. And it brings people along. If they can just hear the arguments, we win.
Do you think, though, that the Trump and the youth who are following Trump are doing it from a place of seeing their future sort of not the way that their parents' future was, seeing that there's just sort of hopelessness? Yeah,
like a more of a doomer perspective on things, like AI is going to take everyone's job.
I wouldn't worry about AI.
Whereas Buchanan's thought is, in my reading, has always been nostalgia for his childhood. And that nostalgia is something that we don't have, because that childhood does not exist.
Yeah, because it was COVID and was shut down. They cruelly wouldn't let you go to school for no reason whatsoever. I think, well, I don't want you to be depressed about the future. I'd be worried about the future if Trump doesn't keep his promises on immigration. If this country becomes a third world country, I don't know, do you want to live in Uganda? You think they're doing? Trump has to have the mass deportations, and I hope JD will be the president for 8 years after that, because it's going to take a long time to deport them all. But I mean, I shouldn't say this to you cheerful, happy young people with your whole lives ahead of you. But, sometimes I say to my friends, I'm glad I don't have kids. This country is so on a downward spiral. I did everything I could to save it. So I guess we'll see if Trump keeps his promises and if JD can keep his promises. Then I would be very, very hopeful about America. It's a great country. Oh, something else Trump did. Why didn't every Republican do this? He went through and took out all the anti-American crap on all our national monuments and the museums. And I'm reading in the New York Times about the stuff that was in there. It's just everybody, but this person held slaves. This person said something mean about Indians. And Trump is right. We're a great country. We have a magnificent history we ought to be celebrating. We're the greatest country in the world. We're the one that gleams and shines and has the most freedom of any other country. We should be so proud of what we have. We should keep what we have. And if Trump allows us to keep it, I think you have a fantastic future. The reason I wouldn't worry about AI is every invention has always been said to, okay, that's it. We don't need humans anymore. We have cars. We won't need buggies anymore. We won't need the horse and carriage. And every invention has been said, probably when they invented the wheel, we won't need all those people dragging stuff anymore. And it's never, there are always new jobs. I'm also not worried about, a lot of people think that because the AI, the images, which are pretty hilarious, and they can fool people. Okay, but I'm sure when Photoshop first came along, it fooled people. Once you know this is how AI works, you won't be fooled anymore. So I think you have a bright future if Trump keeps his promises.
Well, I was going to ask you about AI and whether or not you're a doomer or an optimist. It seems like you're not
very optimistic.
Yeah.
Although it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is going to be robotic. I don't know if you saw. You probably did. Amazon is replacing like 60% of his workforce with robots in the next few years. Robots. So maybe we didn't need all this cheap foreign labor. Maybe that wasn't such a great idea.
What do you think the conservative conversation around this emerging technology is? Do you think that conservatives are having the right kinds of conversations around AI and emerging technology?
Well, I'm 100% on the side of MAGA and not Elon when it comes to the H-1B workers. I'm so sick of these Silicon Valley people, rich people who want their... I write about this in Adios America. If you know anything about H-1B visas, something else I'll be mentioning in my speech tonight, which the Wall Street Journal does not. They're not bringing in the super geniuses, though.
Right.
And by the way, that's the only time we're allowed to talk about IQ, when we're talking about the immigrants coming in. No, they're bringing in utterly standard computer programmers, and it's not just that they're paying them less. Oh, and also personal trainers, maids. Here's my H1. People working. It's absurd. It's a gift to the rich. Bernie Sanders was right about this. Mass immigration is very bad for the lower to lower class to middle class, working Americans. But most H-1B workers, the reason they're so desirable is they can't sue, they can't make waves, and they can't switch companies. That's the biggest thing. It's indentured servitude. So if you get your H-1B visa to work for Apple, you can't, Microsoft just gave me a better offer, I'll go there. So that's why these H-1B visa workers, and they themselves say, I quoted one in my book, Adios America, saying, I'm just doing standard work. There's nothing special about me. Anybody could do this, but I do it cheaper. And I can't change jobs. So it's a total scam to help the richest of the rich. Penny pinch.
Yeah, I definitely think... college students are seeing the effects of this as well. I mean, I know a lot of computer science graduates who have not been able to find a job in a year, 2 years, which, was previously unheard of with, a computer science degree from Stanford. And it's definitely scary, I think, to
Yes.
a lot of people.
It should be, and I think Trump has cracked down on it a little bit, but he's too close to Silicon Valley people. He's too impressed by them. Stephen Miller isn't.
He's great.
And then you mentioned Vance, so it seems like your pick is Vance. Do you see him as being able to carry the torch both for the party and the issues, but also with the voters? It seems like Trump, drives turnout. Mamdani's driving turnout with the same demographic that Trump won in New York. Those demographics of particularly young men voted for Mamdani overwhelmingly. Those same young men who voted for Trump in 2024.
I don't think it was overwhelming.
I think young men 18 to 29, Mamdani won quite.
He won heavily with the foreign-born.
Yeah.
A lot of foreign-born in New York, and the ladies.
Yeah. But do you think Vance can get that type of turnout that Trump did, and can he sort of counteract the Mamdani left? I guess
That's a great question. I mean, no one is going to have Trump's charisma, so no, he doesn't have. I mean, every person, whether in public life or in politics, is different, and I've noticed this since I was a kid. Speaking of college life, I remember all these right-wing men at college, and all of them imitating William F. Buckley with the little bow ties and sitting back. William F. Buckley did, but the next William F. Buckley isn't William F. Buckley. The next William F. Buckley is, Rush Limbaugh. The next Rush Limbaugh isn't Rush Limbaugh, it's Drudge. I mean, so you have to be yourself, and I like Vance's self. Man, he was good in those debates. He is so smart. I think he has the right positions. He is Trumpism without Trump. As for the razzmatazz, my hope is there does seem to be kind of a pattern. Actually, the Trump-Biden thing fills it out too, and that is a hyper-articulate president with pebbles in his mouth. Hyper-articulate president with pebbles in his mouth. So we go from Reagan, really articulate, to George H.W. Bush, whoa, he could not talk, to Clinton, smooth, smarmy, lying, but articulate, followed by another Bush who can't talk. Absolutely could not talk, to, Mr. Smooth Obama, to Trump, who's hard to categorize that. I mean, if you've ever tried to map out one of his sentences, it is so not English. It is so not normal grammar. But he's like grunting, and everyone kind of understands him. So I'm not sure where he falls on the articulateness line. But let's say articulate, and then we get Biden, who obviously, he's senile dementia. And then we're back to Trump. So this is something slightly different. It's articulate versus inarticulate. But I think maybe people will have had enough of the razzmatazz of Trump, and okay, let's calm down now. I hope.
I want to hear one issue you think that is overlooked within the conservative media or conservative view, and one issue that you think is overemphasized.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, this is really just for right now, but it's huge. It's huge. Overlooked. I almost did it on my podcast today, but I think I may write my column on it next week. We're having these arguments about the gerrymandering, and Texas does it, and now California is going to be so much worse gerrymander. We're going to lose 5 congressional seats. We're only ahead by 1. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the census under Trump undercounted red states, overcounted blue states. And they figured that out by their own estimate. The next year they figured it out. They do a correction apparently after every census. They do like spot checks or something. So under Trump, miscounting. Under Biden, the Census Department determines we have miscounted. We made these errors. And there are about 8 states they overcounted, which determines the Electoral College, and it determines how many congressional seats you have. Of the 8 states they overcounted, 7 of them were blue states, and big blue states. I think the only one that wasn't was Utah. Then they undercounted, something like 7 states, and all but 1 were red states. So can't Trump do something about this? I don't know. I wish someone who knew something more about it. But every time I look up to see has somebody done something about it, nobody's done it. So I'm going to have to write about it. But there's got to be some. Trump should just do it and let the Supreme Court decide whether he can do it. But it's unfair. We'd probably get 10 congressional seats just like that, just by having an honest count.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's under discussed. Over discussed. Maybe I'd say discuss it in a different way. The pro-life movement, and I'm a total pro-lifer, man, did we lose. We have just lost. So I think the pro-life movement needs to, I don't know, dust off the talking points and figure out a way to make it more appealing, probably moving more incrementally, which, I mean, a life is a life. I can't intellectually defend it, but we're losing. When states like Kentucky and Montana that went 20 points for Trump are rejecting, when everybody votes, the tiniest restriction on abortion, it's just a suicide mission for Republicans. And I mean, that was when I'm just so happy Roe v. Wade was overturned, because it's monstrous. It's sickening that they were pretending it was part of our founding document that you can stick a fork in a baby's head. And just sickening. So, okay, we got rid of that. But when we were fighting that, I think it was Hadley Arcus at Amherst came up with these ways to make incremental changes. And one of them was partial birth abortion. One of them was babies born alive. And I think that's probably what the pro-life movement should focus on, and not demand purity from Republicans that will then get them killed in the election.
Yeah. Is that what you think went wrong? Do you think the pro-life movement
didn't help us in those midterms after Dobbs? I mean, at this point, the reason it didn't hurt us in the next election is basically every state has voted, and my side lost. But there are incremental things you can do. I think most people still support things like spousal notification, parental notification for underage girls. I mean, I can't believe every Democrat voted against the Baby Born Alive Act, which came up in the debates, and they denied it. Do you remember Trump brought that up? Or maybe, no, J.D. Vance brought it up, and they denied it? They're putting the Democratic Party in Congress. They were putting out press releases bragging about how nope. If the baby slips out and it's alive, the doctor can chase it down the hallway, whack it with a fire extinguisher. No, they're sick. They're sick.
Do you think you sort of I think tweeted something to the effect of, European immigration problems are bad, but we have it much worse here. At the same time, the UK, it seems polls are saying reform's going to win pretty massively.
Oh, I hope so.
Austria, Germany are sort of shifting that way. France possibly can. Certainly Italy. Is this movement what do think tanks in DC, should the right-wing movement, should the right look to Europe, help Europe, or is our helping possibly the problem that got them into this? And, we really shouldn't try and meddle in and cause public opinion to go against the right wing because of our involvement.
Well, the main way we caused it was Hillary Clinton deciding to take out Muammar Gaddafi because she needed foreign policy credentials. You can never trust Democrats with foreign policy, and no, not even to keep them away from domestic policy. LBJ, same thing. He just dumps Americans to be slaughtered in Vietnam. Why? Because he wanted to be taken seriously on foreign policy. So she and Sidney Blumenthal, they're emailing one another. This will make you, when you run for president, this will be so great. Muammar Gaddafi had a deal with European countries. Don't worry, I'll hold back the rest of Africa. They won't get past my country. So as soon as they took out, it all started after taking out Muammar Gaddafi. So I don't know, it's not my problem. I didn't vote for Hillary or Obama. I think we need to save our own country. We are in so much worse shape. But it is, the lesson, these right-wing populist movements, they're, trying to outlaw them in France and Germany. Two issues that will always always be popular is locking up criminals and throwing out immigrants.
You are a Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of curious. So I've heard Christian arguments pro-immigration and anti-immigration, and what you hear a lot from a lot of Christians is like there's sort of this, extreme empathy. We need to love them, and we need to take in refugees. That's what Jesus would have done, and I agree with you on immigration, but I'm curious, and I'm also a Christian, but, I'm curious how you personally, sort of go against those types of
I think they're
claims.
total fake, phony frauds. They want to be praised in the New York Times. This has nothing to do with Christianity. They ought to consider that this is the last Christian country on earth. Mm-hmm. And once we're gone, it's over. It's lights out for the globe. Yeah. And, being kind to the stranger, I don't see these guys. What was his name? Oh, he's so loathsome. He used to be the head of one of those, the Southern Baptist outfit, who's constantly running op-eds in the New York Times. Oh, I loathe him. Anyway, he's one who would make these arguments. I don't see him taking, homeless people into his house.
Right.
This is our house. This is our home. This is our family. You have to protect your home. It doesn't mean, you befoul your space. But we're not going to be able to help anyone if we look what's going on in Minnesota. We have ethnic conflict. Somalis
I'm from
fighting.
Minnesota.
Oh my gosh! Did you see?
Yes, I lived.
You have different tribes
like a mile
from
away
Somalia.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting in huge fight. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's bring everybody's ethnic conflicts to our country. Great. That's going to be great. No, we've got enough problems. We've got to save our country, and we are the last Christian country on earth. It will not be a Christian country. And by the way, when I say Christian country, that you don't have to be a Christian. You can be a good American, good citizen. I don't want this to be misinterpreted. But the founding documents and the founding fathers, it did come from a tradition of Christianity. And one thing Samuel Huntington, used to be a Harvard professor. I think he passed away. Man, he was good. He's one you guys got to bring back.
Okay, noted.
He has a great book, Who Are We? ? You must read it. And one of the things he points out, which I think is true, is that, and many people have said this, that it's the WASP culture that is the culture of America. And, you can be a Hindu, you can be a Muslim, but still you come, and this is sort of, I don't know, like the edifice that everything else grows from and attaches to. And what Huntington says is every religion comes to America and becomes a Protestant. I think I might be slightly misinterpreting that. But I think, for one thing, I think it's true with the Catholics. They, in colonial times, Jews got the vote before Catholics. They were really freaked out by Catholics because they seemed to be beholden to a foreign pope. Well, you don't really hear that much about Roman Catholicism anymore. It's American Catholic. And once they became American Catholic, they became more accepted. And in my opinion, and probably Mormons will yell at me for this, but I feel like Mormons, who are all really lovely people, I feel like their religion is just becoming more straight out Protestant. You don't hear about the nutty stuff so much. Sorry. Love them. And when I was this is the last thing I'll say. I think we're supposed to be wrapping up, but I was at a Shabbat dinner with Dennis Prager a few years ago, and he's describing, I've never been to one before, so he's describing everything that's going on. And he said something like, the word he used wasn't grace, but it was very close to the word grace. And he said that he never believed in because he had his wife, like his Gentile wife, run through all of the prayers really quickly and said, I never thought it was the formal rituals. I think you're saved. He didn't say saved by grace, but it was really close. It was like synonyms. And I said, Dennis, you're a Presbyterian. And he said, that's what his parents called him.
That's a great story.
So I think all religions in a way do come and sort of, and it's a good thing. The Calvinist, the Protestant work ethic, that's what has made us so successful. And okay, just a little bit more papist bashing. There is a reason, which I think Huntington points out, in Latin America, and because they were conquered and the animal sacrifice shut down by the Spanish, who were Catholic, it's a very, very different culture. And what you notice in Latin American countries and liberals in America versus Protestants, and what I think a healthier view of life is this worship of the poor as if they are somehow more noble than someone who works and succeeds. Well, no, even though we don't really believe that God rewards us with wealth because we're good Christians. That was the Calvinist idea. And so people would stand up in church to show that they were chosen and, wear their finery to church. Well, that's kind of stuck with us. So there's no embarrassment about being rich. No, we're proud of you. Good for you. Mm-hmm. Congratulations to you. And you want a society where succeeding, accomplishing things, that's admired and not, oh, look at the poor beggar. I mean, okay, we'll help the poor beggar. But the Catholics have a little bit too much fondness for the poor who aren't really, creating the internet or building Twitter or sending rockets to Mars.
All right, well, it's been great to have this conversation with you. Thanks for
Great
being
to
here.
meet you guys.